Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the Asmus Toys Lord of the Rings, Merry and Pippin. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, I got their Aragorn figure a while back and I was very impressed with that, so when I saw that Sideshow had the Merry and Pippin figure up for pre-order, I couldn't resist getting them as well. So hopefully they do complete the Fellowship line, all 9 characters. And don't cut us short. But onto these guys. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. There are a few things that I don't like, and I'll get to that shortly. But just quickly, the packaging again is pretty nice. I do like the way they've done that sort of style with the cardboard insert. This time there's no foam, just the clamshell, unlike the Aragorn that had the more premium feel with the foam. But everything in the clamshell is all nicely done and packaged up, so not too much to complain about there. The packaging itself, nice artwork on the front. As you can probably see immediately, the head sculpts aren't that great in terms of accuracy to the actors themselves. They're not too bad. There is a resemblance, but they could have done better there, and I'll give you guys a closer look in a second. But I guess the other interesting thing is that I didn't realize that these were actually numbered. The Aragorn figure, I actually went back and double checked, and that's not numbered in any way that I can see on the packaging. So I'm not sure why they went down that path, but I guess it's collectors do love having their collectibles numbered. So this is number 428 out of 1500, so not that big an edition size at all. So I'm not sure if that's something they're going to continue on for the upcoming figures. But that's it for the packaging. I'll get onto the accessories in a second. Hold on. Alright, so onto the accessories. Most of the accessories are replicated across both figures, with probably only one exception being unique. The cloak itself, similar to the Aragorn cloak, I have to say the material might even be better on this new release. I do love it's a really soft sort of suede-ish type material with an inner lining like so. So that's just sort of folded over and sewn together. The actual tailoring and the stitch work, I really do like the way they've been doing these. The quality is actually really nicely done, and there's the elven brooch there. So essentially, to put this on, you just take off one of their head sculpts and put it over the neck post and put the head sculpt back on. So it's pretty easy to do, and it does look pretty good. I guess both figures come with the same cloak, so there's no real differences in either. And that, I think that is accurate to the movie, but it would have been nice as an option if they also provided their different cloaks before they were given these, due to the different color and so on that you can actually see on the box art as well. The hand sculpts are pretty much the same for both figures, so you get this sort of splayed out action hand. The paint application's not too bad. There's a bit of fingernail detail in there and so on, but it's a bit hit and miss. I mean, this particular one here does look a little bit messy and a little bit plasticky and clay-like, but yeah, it doesn't have the sort of realism of some of the Hot Toys hand sculpts, but I can't complain too much about it. So I think this one is either to hold the pipe or their dagger, so you get the options there to hold the various accessories. The pipe itself, if I can actually focus, is pretty nicely done. It's a little darker in paint application on Pippin's here. I'm not sure if that's just a bit of variation to differentiate between the two, but the mold is pretty much the same, and it is fairly nice. The elven dagger is identical to both, from what I can see, and unfortunately it doesn't have a real metal blade here, so it's just a sort of soft plastic. The paint app's not too bad, but nothing really to write home about. The elven dagger sheath and belt looks okay. It does look a little bit short though. The instructions do say that you need to sort of fit it through the hole, and then wrap it around and back around, similar to the way you did Aragorn's belt. But Aragorn, they actually provided a lot more material, and so with the waist here, I don't think you're going to be able to really tighten it to a point where you can sort of fold it through and back down. That looks good anyway, so I might just have to either decide to keep it like this on the figure, or not have them wear it at all. Now I guess one other thing I'm not too sure about that I'll probably have to go back to the movie to have a look. The way they've put the sheath, once you put it on with the belt at the belt buckle at the front there, that would mean that the sheath is on their right hand side, whereas I thought it was on their left hand side, so that you would use your right hand to reach over and pull it out. So I'm not sure which way is actually accurate, but I guess on this particular one it will have to be on their right side. So just something to be noted there. So they're pretty much replicated across both figures. So the only unique, really unique accessory for each one is their travel bag, I guess. So this is Pippin's here, and his little handbag thing. And the detailing is actually pretty nice. I do like the material. It's a nice sort of soft, suede type material. Doesn't have too much weathering to it, but the stitching overall is nicely done. It doesn't feel too delicate, but I wouldn't be tugging on that too strongly, just in case that sort of rips off. As you can probably tell, there is a bit of foam that they've put inside to pad it out. It's not too noticeable, but you might want to try and shove it in there a bit further. And I wouldn't probably recommend undoing that little string tie there either. But overall, not too difficult to put over his shoulder and head, so it does look pretty nice. But I would have to say my favourite accessory is definitely Merry's backpack here. It's a really nice sort of soft fake leather material. I'm not sure how they've done that sort of weathering, but I'd have to say it's probably a better weathering quality than some of Hot Toys figures. Hot Toys tends to make their figures and accessories a little too clean, but this one does really have a nice weathered, used look to it. And these just sort of fit over the shoulders and the arms there. It would have been nice if these straps were a little bit longer so the backpack doesn't sit so high up on the back, but overall it does look pretty nice. And as I was saying before, these are all sort of filled with a bit of foam, so you can either, colour that in black, or just try and shove it in a little bit further so it doesn't show at the top. But other than that, it's very, very nicely done. I do like that little metal sort of shiny detail there on the little pin, whatever it is there. So again, very, very nicely done. So overall, not as an extensive array of accessories as the Aragorn figure, but in the scheme of things, pretty nice overall. So I'll grab the figures and give you guys a closer look at those. Alright, so I'll start with Merry here, who I think probably has the better sculpt of the two. But overall, I think the standout feature for these little figures is definitely the material and tailoring of the costume and some of the details in the feet and so on. But I'll give you a look at the head sculpt first. As you can see, overall it's a bit of a stern look, which sort of suited the character in some scenes, but I probably would have preferred a not so stern a look. The paint application itself is a tad too dark as well. It looks like he's been in the sun for a while. So a bit of a lighter colour in the skin tone would have been nice. The hair itself, in person it's not too bad, but I guess it would have been nice if some of the finer detail was sort of moulded in there. It does look a little bit thick, particularly at the top here where it all sorts of start blending and merging in together. The paint application has a few highlights here and there, but yeah, it would have been nicer if they had that sort of additional sort of stranding detail in there to sort of make it a bit more real. The eyes have a nice, fairly decent shine to them, so there's a decent set of realism there. And apart from the dark skin tone, it does have that nice sort of freckling effect that Hot Toys figures have as well to add that sort of skin texture. So overall, not too bad. The feet are a definite standout, so you can see there's a bit of attached hair, so they've glued that on, and the glue doesn't stand out too much, and there is a warning in the instruction manual to not sort of rub that too much, so I wouldn't want to be running my fingers over it. But it does look very realistic, and there is a decent amount of dirt wash in there as well, so you can see it does look like he's been walking through a hell of a lot of mud. And they don't come with any stands, so the feet are pretty flat on the bottom, but they do look pretty good. And because they went with that sort of realistic look, being hobbits and so on with that feet, there is no ankle articulation, so all the way up to the knee joint, which you can probably just catch a glimpse of there, is just one molded piece. And you can sort of tell this sort of seam line here at the front, which is a bit of a shame. Would have been nice if that seam line was, I don't know, I guess there is one at the back. Well, I guess they needed a seam line in there somewhere, but if there was a way to make that less obvious, it would have added to that realism. So I guess the pants sort of cover it up to that 3/4 length, but it would have been nice if it wasn't so obvious. But other than that, the feet are actually pretty nicely done. I can't complain too much about the detailing and the way they've done that. It does look very realistic. So the other outstanding feature for me is definitely the clothing. Apparently this is a unique body, and they've tailored the clothing perfectly. So the material is all pretty thin, it's not overly thick, and with how many layers here? There's at least 3 layers on here. The way it sort of sits on the body looks very realistic for this particular size, so I can't complain too much about that at all. And you can sort of see the sort of tailoring here and the patterning, the little buttons. I probably do have to warn you guys that the buttons, unfortunately, they're not sewn through, and they're all sort of glued on. So if it's anything like Hot Toys figures where there are glued on buttons, they're going to be very delicate and easy to suddenly pop off. So I'd definitely avoid putting my fingers anywhere near those buttons. So the outer jacket here is a nice sort of suede-ish type material. Very similar, I guess, to the Hot Toys DX11 figure. Probably not as fluffy as that figure, but a similar sort of cut and feel to the material. The vest itself is also really nicely done. It's got more of a coarse texture to it, but if you can just make it out, it's got all of these nice details in the swirls and so on, that they've somehow embedded that in there, so you can sort of just make it out with all those swirls and the patterning, and that's very close to, I guess, the real vest that he wore in the movie. So I do love that they've got that extra detail in there. It does have these couple of plastic push buttons, which I have a tendency to snap, so I'm not even going to try and undo that and have a look at the white shirt underneath. But I guess the white shirt, from what you can see, is just that sort of nice canvas type material, and it does look pretty good. The pants themselves are nicely tailored as well, and pretty flexible. They don't feel overly delicate, and it's the nice sort of canvas khaki type material, which is very nicely done. And if you just lift that up slightly, you can sort of catch a glimpse of his suspenders in there, which are probably a little bit more obvious on Pippin over there. But I do love that they've got that extra detail. So can't complain about the clothing at all. That's probably the standout feature for me. Articulation wise, there's not too much in the neck itself, but it has the usual rotation. The arms, the shoulders are on a sort of a slight ratchet. I'm not sure how much further it can go apart from that high. There is a double joint in the elbow, so you can get a pretty good range of motion. Probably a bit restricted by the clothing there. The legs, they have the thigh swivel, and the rotation here is pretty good, and you can split them out quite far, but splitting them out like that, you're not going to be able to bend there's no ankle rocking motion, so they're going to look pretty weird like that. So I'll probably have them in a fairly neutral pose. And there is a double joint in the knee. Now my knees are pretty stiff, but you can get it into a sort of semi-walking position, which is okay by me. But that is pretty much it for Merry. So I'll just grab Pippin here. I'll just lay him down. So Pippin here is pretty nice as well. The head sculpt, as I was saying, is probably not as good as the job they did on Merry there. Now up close, they gave him a pretty sad look. The eyes might be a little bit too close together to give that bit of cross-eyed look to it, but from the side it doesn't look too bad. So as you can see on the profile look, the eyes look pretty good, and then I guess with the lighting front on, it starts to look a little bit cross-eyed, but not too bad. The paint application on the face is definitely lighter in tone than Merry, which is good, but it doesn't have the same sort of realism. I think it's almost a bit more shiny and toy-like, and the hair's probably with the same sort of standard. It would have been nice if it had a bit more of the stranding detail, particularly up the top here, where it sort of starts all sort of blending together and looking like a bit of a big fat mess. But from normal viewing distances, it doesn't look too bad. The feet are pretty much done the same way as Merry's, with the same sort of detailing and dirt wash there. So I do like that detail. The seam in the shins is probably hidden a little bit better on mine, on Pippin here. So it would have been nice if they'd sort of done that on Merry. But overall, it's pretty much the same sort of feet. So the highlight is definitely the outfit. I do like the material that they've got in the scarf here, and the patterning, which is quite nice, and the little tassel things here. So I can't complain too much about that. That's just sort of wrapped around the neck post. The jacket here is the same sort of material as Merry's, and again the buttons are not sewn through, so be very careful in where you place your hands and so on before they pop off. The pants I think are identical, and as you can see clearly here, there are the straps. What are they called again? Can't remember what those things are called, but either way, those straps are a bit more obvious. Probably would have been nice if it wasn't buttoned up so close to the center here, to have that sort of coming down in this direction, but I guess most of the time it's going to be covered up by the jacket, so that's a bit unfortunate there. The shirt there is a nice sort of khaki material again, with that sort of yellow and green and white stripe patterning, which I think is pretty accurate to the way his shirt looked in the movie. But that is pretty much it for Pippin here in terms of his outfit. So it doesn't have the sort of nice vest and so on, but it does look pretty accurate to the movie. And again, it does sit pretty well on the figure. So I think that's pretty much it for these two guys. I would definitely recommend these guys if you're getting into the Lord of the Rings figures. Hopefully they are the first company to make the entire Fellowship. They haven't really shown too much more of Legolas or Gimli, etc. Everyone is a little bit worried about Boromir and whether or not they're going to finish him off. But hopefully they get around to doing all of those figures, because yeah, I would definitely love to have the entire Fellowship in the 1/6 scale collection that I've got. So hopefully you guys like that quick look. Hopefully you can click that subscribe button. I've got MP30 Masterpiece Transformers Ratchet coming up next, so hopefully you can stick around for that review. I will be posting up some more photos of these guys once I put their cloaks on and set them all up on the display, so hopefully you can check out the Facebook page and the website for some of the photos coming up soon. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.